Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan Hotel, and I have my man Craig here with me today. What's going
What's
on?
up, man? Good to see you.
Man, listen, it's been quite a journey, and we got some things done. We're both authors now, okay? And I think Craig is probably the only one that can beat me in digital marketing. I haven't seen too many that can beat me in digital
I don't
marketing.
know about that. Appreciate it.
So, man, how did you get started in this business? Like,
Yeah, good question. So I was going to school, as most, wound up in a hotel, the Disneyland Hotel in Anaheim,
nice.
and just worked my way through operations. Then I started managing hotels, right? Got my front office manager opportunity, moved all the way up to assistant general manager, and then kind of found a passion for all things hospitality technology.
Nice.
And now found myself on the other side. So over the past almost 10 years, I've worked for Milestone Inc., who provides digital marketing technology and services to the hospitality industry. So that's kind of the abbreviated version, but an entire career, more than 20 years in this beautiful industry. I love hospitality.
You know, that's the thing that most people don't get. It's different saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to be a digital marketer, and then choosing hospitality as a customer base.
Sure.
Versus, hey,
Sure.
I'm going to be a hotelier, I'm going to be in the hospitality industry, and I'm going to choose digital marketing as a profession.
I think there's something to be said when, the reality is all we're doing is we're trying to solve a problem that a hotelier has, right? Whether they're trying to drive more demand or more bookings, revenue, occupancy, we've lived it, right? We know exactly what they're saying. We've been there. And so to try and align that with the solution, it's much easier than not experiencing it and trying to fix something that you've maybe never fixed.
That's right. That's right.
I think it's something that I continue to reflect on, and I'm glad that that I get this opportunity to stay within an industry, like I said, that I love. Yeah.
So, being that you're from the hotel side of things, have you ever looked at some of the things that they've done, and like someone else that's from outside the industry, and you just look at them like, this is not going to work. There is no way this is going to work.
You know what? I mean, so digital marketing as a specialty, right? A lot of companies do this seemingly work, right? And like you said, they may not have the same understanding of the industry. And the reality is, hospitality digital marketing is a specialty in itself.
Correct.
Right? If I am a, luxury boutique hotel, I have a specific guest in mind, a specific demographic, a target guest, right? But without those inputs, if I was just trying to market this hotel just as I market every other hotel, right? I'm going to try and, cut corners. I'm going to try and do things that maybe worked at the hotel down the street, which, by the way, is nothing like this particular client. So, I mean, those type of things, obviously not coming from the industry, you're going to not have a general understanding of the different nuances of these hotels. And so, you'd probably, at least initially miss the mark.
Yeah.
And those are something, I take pride in really learning as much as I can about our clients and then developing a strategy that would fit them. And I think there's hopefully a lot of value in that. We can get to the solution much quicker, and we could be more effective in the process. Right?
Let's talk about SEO for a second. Like, what are some of the things that you tried with SEO and it failed,
Sure.
and like how did you correct it?
You know, we wrote about this in the book.
Yeah.
I think too often when we hear the term SEO, especially as a hotelier, right? I've got so many other priorities, right? I'm trying to staff the front desk for tonight. I'm trying to get a breakfast attendant for tomorrow morning. I'm trying to meet my, revenue goals from ownership. And so SEO is oftentimes the topic that doesn't get the attention it deserves, right? There's so much that goes into it. But the truth is too often are you trying to stay ahead of the trends with SEO? And there are plenty of hotels in our clients who are at a point where they're maturing, right? They've
Yeah.
laid the foundation and they're building on that. But SEO is just that. If you built a hotel, the foundation of that hotel is going to be rock solid,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Same concept with SEO. If all digital marketing is promoting what's unique about a hotel, right? And so SEO is part of that foundation that you should build on. And so basic things like, perfecting the technical elements of your website, right? Making sure that, you have the right images, you have the right content, you have the right meta descriptions, the right headers, all of those things, SEO 101, right? And then you look to, okay, if someone's not on my site, how do I still communicate what makes me different? So if I'm on Google, right, am I optimizing my Google business profile on the right-hand side of the page?
Yeah.
Right? Are those images right? Are those descriptions strong? Are the amenities still offered by the hotel? Right? Those things are oftentimes overlooked, not because maybe the hotel is not aware that they exist, but again, it's a priority list, and based on their abilities, maybe SEO is one of those things that falls lower in the list. But between me and you, that's really the gold behind any sort of digital marketing strategy. That's all organic. That's all things that you can earn because you're doing great work at the property. Just tell that story to people who are at that stage in their journey where they're just trying to find the right fit for their vacation or their trip, right?
For sure, for sure. What do you recommend for hotels that are franchises? Like, do you recommend getting other pages or referral pages like you see with TripAdvisor to try to siphon some more traffic to their franchise website? Or
I think there's a ton of truth to that, Bruce. I mean, I think that's a great suggestion. When I think about a branded hotel or like a franchise hotel, right? Part of being a franchise hotel is you're investing into the brand and their resources, right? So you have a brand's website, you have different programs that you can opt into. But what are some things that a hotel can do at the local level to try and, supplement all of those great programs, right? So you hit the nail on the head. Salespeople at the property level are networkers.
correct,
Right?
correct.
Lean into that.
Yeah.
They likely have the best relationship with the local university. They've got a relationship with the local, amusement park. They're part of the same, association as, the salesperson at the CVB, right? All of those relationships have opportunities in them to be reciprocal, right?
Okay.
So if on my property, on my brand website, I've got a page on that lists all of the things to do nearby my hotel, right? If one of them for the example, is a university. I'm going to ask that representative, as a salesperson, I'm going to ask that representative, hey, I gave you a shout out on my brand site. I'm going to link it to yours. Where should I send that, those referrals? What website link? And in return, are there any opportunities on your website that you can link back to mine?
Nice.
And so that's the whole concept of backlinks. And so when you think of the evolution of search, backlinks was a more traditional strategy. I think there's still value in the exercise. I don't believe that, bobshoteldirectory.com is the best use of your time or the best investment.
Yeah.
However, that university, right, we're aligned with who we have as clients, right? Those students, those families need to stay within a hotel when traveling to the school. Those students, those universities want to give those students and parents a good experience, right? So vice versa, right? There's benefits in that partnership. I would say that linking to each other, right, should be part of just almost a process that you're developing for your sales team, right? Hey, did we do this? Check that. And then beyond that, things like social media at the local level, those are great opportunities. Every brand, and we're here at a conference that is saying the same thing. They're recommending that their hotels be active on social media, and giving full flexibility for them to do so. That's another opportunity. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things that, whether you're a branded hotel or an independent, that are good best practices that we're seeing a ton of SEO value in if done correctly.
Speaking of backlinks, I think what confuses a lot of people is that they don't understand that with backlinks, there's different tiers.
Oh, sure.
So, they can, and then they go try to find all these websites the backlink to. And if that website gets hit,
sure,
you're hit too. Like, so what are some of the things that you do to make sure you're getting the right backlinks at the right tier for the right hotel?
As a best practice, I mean, obviously, if there's any relationships that you're developing locally, those are good quality sources, right? Good sites with good domain authority, right? You want to consider that. But if you take a step back, right, think of what are the biggest players, right? Data aggregators, profiles like Google Business Profile, Bing, your TripAdvisor profile, your Yelp profile, right? All of those things, those are bigger players. And smaller guys are buying information from them. Okay. So it's still very much so today a web, right? Remember, the World Wide Web is still true. The information shared from all of those different sources is what builds that connection, right? I think as part of the exercise, though, of backlinks and like trying to, partner with the right sources, right, and managing those listings, is just that there needs to be some sort of a process in place, whether it's at the hotel level or you're part of a program with a brand, or if you're an independent, maybe you're investing in some, listings management software that maintains that for you. But I think just as important as it is to get quality links is to maintain the information on those. Because if your name on one profile is different than the other, well, now you lost all the value in that, and not necessarily getting any sort of benefit from what was once a sound SEO strategy.
That makes sense. Speaking of benefit, Google Search Console. This is, especially when I first started, they changed it like so many times, like the design and everything. But I didn't realize how powerful Google Search Console it was. And a lot of hotels, they don't even know, especially the boutique ones, they have no clue
Sure.
about Google search. So can you
Sure.
break it down?
Sure. So, I mean, Google Search Console is part of the Google Suite, which typically, while it's a separate product to Google Analytics, right, it's just as powerful from an insights perspective. But what makes Google Search Console unique is you can, if you make a change to the site, you should trigger Google Search Console to actually index that new page. Okay, re-index this page because I've got new information on it. Without that trigger, right, it's going to take time for Google to, index that page, right, and obviously then incorporate that into search results. But so the other benefit that we see with Google Search Console is there are fundamental elements of SEO that Google Search Console gives you visibility into, right? What is the page experience, right? For example, it monitors Core Web Vitals, right? Which is, in addition to speed of the site, it looks at, individual elements and how are those, a positive experience or a negative experience. And they start to also measure those for you.
Okay.
In addition, they're also looking at, is there any sort of structured data on the site, right? Which is nothing more than how you're communicating your individual entities, right? Are you a hotel? Are you nearby attractions? Do you have frequently asked questions on your website? All of those things are examples of structured data where you're communicating to Google, hey, this is the definition of all of that information that I wrote on the site. And in Google Search Console, it actually highlights those, either what you've done already on the site, or if there's anything broken that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
The last thing in Google Search Console, it also gives you some keyword data. So if you were curious where that information left from Google Analytics, it's now part of Google Search Console. So while the value of individual keywords, may have lessened, right? Obviously, there's so many different things that need to be done to rank for a particular keyword today, where in the past, all you had to do was put the keyword maybe 10 times on a page and you start ranking number one, right? But there are so many other search factors that go into that. But within Search Console, you'll actually get a snapshot of, how many impressions, how many clicks did you get for specific keywords?
Gotcha.
So it's a great tool. If you're not in Search Console, check it out. There's a lot of valuable information.
Yeah, you're definitely going to need to be in Search Console. Unfortunately, if you're a franchise, you probably don't get access to that information. But now, if speaking of pages, blogs, do you feel like blogs is still relevant?
I love this question.
In this day and age, with everything that's going on, the customer retention is like 2 seconds because of TikTok, and so they're not even reading a blog; they're just skimming through it.
Sure.
So, and then they're clicking off of it to move on to something else. Do you think that it's still relevant?
So there's a lot of buzz around Google's helpful content update, right? So to translate that to hotels, it's about providing relevant, helpful, in the true sense of the word, and also fresh content to your guests.
Okay.
Right? So in the past, hotels would use blogs for, just a miscellaneous kind of collection of maybe articles or interesting information. But very few hotels actually maintain those. You've probably come across them, right?
Yeah.
Where they had a blog, but the last post was in 2022 or something. Fast forward to today in Google's helpful content. It's a great home for providing that helpful and relevant content.
Gotcha.
And now when we think about generative artificial intelligence, right, that's a natural home for it. So if any hotel was thinking, you know what, I want to try using AI for digital marketing and see how my hotel can benefit. So using different products, and our company has one, but there are others on the market, even free ones like ChatGPT, right? If you're starting to leverage those tools, start with your blog, right? The easiest way, if you have a good sense of what you should write about, well, that's a natural place for you to put that content. But going back to what we mentioned about helpful, right? Is it answering a question that you get often? Is it timely? Is there an event coming up nearby? Is there a concert, right? Are you giving tips for those type of events? Are you, talking about, a local amusement park and maybe some special that they're running this month? All of those things are tying back to significant demand generators. So if you're part of that wider discussion, you're going to see the benefit. And if you're doing all the technical things like I was saying at the start, then obviously that's where those programs shine. What I would say is, as like kind of a pro tip, when using any sort of generative AI like ChatGPT or Google's Gemini, take a step back and try and there are other tools that give you this information. What are things that are trending, right? What is getting a lot of search volume, right? Odds are it's that concert that's coming up in a couple months, but there's no real great fit on the website to put that information, right? So that's when your blog comes into play. So you're doing some what we refer to as content intelligence.
Okay.
And you're trying to understand, okay, what is actually popular right now? And then how do I leverage things like generative AI to actually produce the content? We see AI today as, I think our industry is seeing it as an opportunity to be more efficient. I agree. It's not going to replace anyone, right? But for a savvy marketer, it's going to be a great co-pilot, right? When using it in digital marketing, I find that, the initial concept, the initial first draft is lightning fast, right? You're doing that really quickly, which saves me a ton of time.
Yeah, that's
right?
for sure.
But I do need to manipulate. I do need to add my own spin to it, especially because a lot of those tools, and there are some, right, on the market that do allow for you to input your voice, your brand, into those. But if you don't have a tool that's doing that for you, you've got to do that, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, it's a complement to what you're doing. It's certainly not replacing anyone.
But it makes it a lot faster.
Makes it a lot easier. Yeah, that's for sure.
So how often do you recommend someone should blog? I mean, because like you said, there was something there from you was on a website. It was from 2022. This blog has been updated in years.
I think it's a good segue. So I think, with generative AI, in addition to being slightly more efficient in the earlier phases of content development, it allows for you to accelerate the velocity in which you produce content. So to me, I don't see any sort of negative implication if you're providing relevant and helpful information to your guests.
Okay.
Right? So I'm not going to put a cap on it.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, as you start using these tools, right? Start small and then build, right? Because there is a input that you have to provide. And there's some, content intelligence, some research that goes into that. If you're not using tools and software to do that for you, it is going to take time.
Yes,
right?
it is.
So whatever you have the bandwidth for is what I recommend.
Okay.
But to do things, do it right, and don't fall back on, I don't want to see in 6 months there's nothing there anymore. You wrote something and then, step back and moved away from it. But I think that goes back to your comment about, Search Console and analytics. Track what you did, right? Post something, look to see what the traction is on it, and then try and, perfect that, right? Try to improve it next time. Improve on that.
Okay. Now, when it comes to Google searching in Google is able to see how long the person was on the page and to see if this content is relevant. I seen, like me, what I would do is when I do a blog, I would add a video to the blog, and this way it keeps them on the page longer, so people could say, okay, you know what, this is relevant, so I can rank higher.
Great tip. Yeah.
What are some of the things that you usually do?
So I think website engagement and the time spent on a site is a ranking factor. It's a signal to Google that the information, the content is good. In Google Analytics 4, which is Google's latest analytics update, instead of, in the past, they used to refer to it as bounce rate.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So you visit a site and, maybe 50% of the time the guests are clicking off, right? They didn't, this is the wrong site, wrong property, sorry. I'm going to look for a different result. So that would be bounce rate, right? Which was the percentage of people that clicked off the site. Now what Google says in Google Analytics 4 is it's all about actions in Google Analytics 4. They're trying to measure the engagement of the site. And at the granular level, is the information captivating, right? And so the opposite of bounce rate, they're now looking at engagement rate, right? So the total opposite, same definition, just the opposite of that. So how many people are engaged with the site rather than bouncing? So if it's low engagement, they would assume that that is poor quality content or poor website experience.
But how can you judge engagement? Like the way they're scrolling down or the way they're clicking on names?
Good point. It's strictly the time spent. Strictly the time spent.
Okay.
Now, there are other metrics in Google Analytics 4 that measure the activity that happens, like clicks and different events like, book now buttons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are different activities, but strictly the time spent is the definition of engagement.
Wow.
Good question, though.
Wow. Nice. Now give us one or two secrets that nobody know.
Yeah.
That you probably didn't disclose in the book.
Yeah. So, no surprise, digital marketing is always changing.
That is true.
It's always changing. I think what the book does really well in the digital marketing chapter, and quite honestly every chapter, is just giving you the most consistent and accurate, the most meaningful strategies that any hotel can adopt and implement. But, as I said, digital marketing is always changing. So if you fast forward to today, it's April 2024. The hottest topic right now is AI and how it's making its way into the guest digital journey. So at its earliest stage, right? Awareness.
Yeah.
Google's starting to actually implement AI into their search results. It's called Search Generative Experience, SGE. So you'll notice as part of that beta, they're adapting their search engine results page to incorporate a chat type of conversation that users can have with Google to find the right information, right? There was a study that Google released. There are over 700 different touch points in travel, right, to actually book travel.
Really?
And so when you think about that, if I'm a guest, I'm going to be going to numerous sites to get the right information. Google's embedding AI to actually pull from its knowledge base and incorporate that right on the search engine results page. So what we're seeing is even an independent hotel, if they're providing helpful content, if they're providing a good user experience, they're gaining the benefits of those top results because they are the authority, right? And they are providing the most relevant content. Today, again, it's in beta, but there's no ads within Google Search Generative Experience. We'll see how that adapts over time. But it's exciting because it's built on Google. So if you're doing all the SEO best practices right, you're in a good position to benefit from those updates. So when it rolls out permanently, which it will, you'll start seeing maybe more engagement, more success in your digital marketing. And that's because that evolution of search is happening and AI is playing a role in that customer journey. So anyways, that's probably the coolest thing that's happening right now. I think the book does a great job in preparing you for that update, right? And going back to really laying the foundation, right? And building on top of it. Don't build on a crumbling foundation. Get it strong, and then obviously you can support the traffic, right? If you're doing those things right.
Well, Hotel Revenue Bible. Both authors are here. Make sure you get it, and to make sure you get your digital marketing right, along with the rest of your Evernote. Thank you for joining us. Listen, tell everybody how can we get in touch with you?
Sure. So, as Bruce and I have developed our kind of professional relationship on LinkedIn, I'm active there. I'm sharing all of this information more than I'd like to admit. At least multiple times a week. So connect with me on LinkedIn. Mention the show, and look forward to connecting with you there. And then we could start. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or if you need guidance. Here to help. So,
all right. Fantastic. And that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us. This is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan Hotel, signing out. This episode was brought to you by the Hotel Revenue Bible, the #1 hotel revenue book that has ever been written. It includes revenue management, digital ads, social media marketing, sales, catering, F&B, and more. Grab your copy today at hotelrevenuebible.com.